you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Blessing here. I hope you guys have had an amazing week so far. To all my new subscribers, hey, what's up? Thank you for joining the family. I hope you've enjoyed all the content that you have seen so far. So today's video is going to be the very first episode of Mental Health Wednesday. I told you guys I wanted to start this series on my channel because for me, mental health is something that is super important, not only from having a nursing background, but just as a young woman who's been through a whole lot of life. I want us to have a safe space where we talk about things that affect us, and everyone can just feel like you are not alone. And that is one of the biggest things when it comes to mental health, is that a lot of people are just afraid to talk about what they're going through because they just feel like they're alone, or nobody else is going to understand, or nobody else feels the same way that they do. And that is absolutely not true. If you've been on my channel now for some time, then you know I do girl talks, and my girl talks can tend to get a little deep. So for me, this was something that God put in my heart in the new year, that I should do a mental health series on my channel, use my voice to impact other women. I am all about uplifting girls. I am all about encouraging women. I'm all about being there for my sisters. Whatever I can do to help another female out, I am there, because I think we need a whole lot more of that. So today I am going to talk about something that's very dear to my heart, something that's very personal, and something that I am almost certain that a lot of people have experienced, and that's just toxic relationships, that is childhood abuse, that is even dealing sometimes with toxic African parents. You guys know I am African. I'm from West Africa. I have a Nigerian mother and a Cameroonian father. And when I'm talking about toxic African parents, this is not a video to condemn anyone's parents. This is not a video to condemn my parents. I grew up in a loving home, in a very supportive home. However, we all have things that could have been different. No family is perfect. No home is perfect. And I just want to talk about how certain triggers that happen when we're young can affect us into our adulthood, and can affect the relationships that we end up having as women or as men when we're older. So I want to start off by just talking about the relationship that sometimes we have with our family, with our parents, how that can really trigger our life into adulthood more. And what I mean by that is, I am speaking specifically right now to my firstborns. I want to talk to all the firstborn daughters, all the firstborn son, and also the middle kids a little bit, because I feel like middle kids are in such a weird spot. Like you're not the firstborn, you're not the last, you're just kind of there. But specifically my firstborn. As a firstborn myself, growing up in an African home, there's a lot of pressure. Hands down, there's a lot of pressure, and with that pressure comes a lot of learning, a lot of perseverance, a lot of having to endure certain things. There was an email that I received during my 1-year break that really spoke to me, and was also one of the triggers that wanted me to do this mental health segment on my channel. As a firstborn African child, we have to first learn to forgive our parents. And what I mean by forgiveness is that every parent had to learn how to be a parent somehow. Through your firstborn is how most parents learn how to basically raise a child. They didn't know how to do this before. This is a new job. This is something that was just kind of thrown out there to them. And that's something that I've also had to learn to do myself, is forgive. There were certain times that I questioned certain things in my life, like I just needed maybe a little more attention, or I just needed you to hug me a little bit more that day, or I just needed you to validate my accomplishments that one time, and I didn't receive that. And so the inner child in you starts feeling like, okay, there's something wrong with me. Why aren't I getting this attention from my family, from my mom, from my dad? You start feeling a little bit neglected and a little bit resentful. And I feel like firstborns, we tend to have we tend to have to deal with a whole lot of, you know, the burden, you know, because your parents expect you to be a certain way. You're now the representation, you know, for your siblings that are to come. You know, you have, if things don't go right in the house, it's on you. If things go right in the house, it's on you. And, you know, sometimes we don't always get the praises that every child wants, or the acknowledgement that every child wants. And that's something that I struggled with. And for you guys an example, in case it's not making sense, I don't want to just kind of ramble. I remember growing up, I played sports. I ran track, I played volleyball, I did all this different things. And there was a point in my life where I would go, we had track meets, of course, in high school, and that was like the fun time. I was really good at track. I always came home with medals, with trophies. And there was a point in my life when I wish my parents would have attended my track meets. They didn't. They never did. And I understand that's not really like every parent's thing, but as a child, imagine being in that moment or in that state. You kind of, you know, you want your parents out there in the bleachers. You see all your little white friends, no offense to anybody, you see all your, you know, all your other friends. They have their parents there supporting them, cheering them on. I had to get that support and that cheering on from my friends' parents. And after a while, I just kind of brushed it off. It was almost like a norm to me. Even when we had home games in volleyball, you know, they weren't there. But I learned to almost justify it as they're working, they're busy, it's not really their thing, it's okay. But then after, you know, my siblings came along and all of that stuff, my sisters played basketball, I saw the engagement that my parents had. You know, they went to their games, they were there, they became more involved. And, you know, as a child, you start feeling a little sense of jealousy, like, oh, but why couldn't you do that at my games? Like, why couldn't you show up to my games, and why couldn't you do certain things? And so that is what I'm talking about in terms of forgiveness. And the reason I'm saying that is important for us as firstborns to forgive our parents is because, like I said, they had to learn through us how to be parents. No parent is perfect, no child is perfect, no situation is perfect either. But I just want to say that every feeling of maybe resentment, of neglect, or abandonment that you may have felt is absolutely valid, because that is something that firstborns do experience. But forgive your parents and understand that they did the best that they could in that situation with just being first-time parents. And it's also important for you to forgive them, because if you have to be a parent one day, you don't want those feelings to transfer onto your own children. You don't want the feelings that your inner child has to transfer onto your children. And I'll tell you guys, when I became a mom, when I had Aria, I told myself that there were certain things that I was going to make sure I did more of, such as telling my child I love her every day, no matter how sick and tired she gets of hearing it. Telling my child that I appreciate her, you know, because I see parenting and motherhood as truly a gift. They say it's good to know where you're coming from, because then you appreciate your journey more. I'm coming from a place where I didn't know I could have kids. All of a sudden, God has blessed me with this beautiful daughter. You know, she survived life support and all this stuff. So I take being a mom seriously, and I take it as a gift that God has given me. So I told myself that certain things that I wish could have been done differently for me growing up, that I'm going to make sure that I do those for my daughter, that I don't repeat the same mistakes. And that's why sometimes you guys see on Instagram, I'm sharing like the silliest things that Aria does. Not because I don't have nothing else to post, but it's just my way of saying I'm proud of my kid, and I am celebrating my kid, and I am rejoicing in whatever that she's doing. So for me, I know I'm using myself as a point of reference, because I don't really want to read the email that I received once she asked me not to. But it's kind of similar to that, because she just felt like, you know, she's never really gotten the attention that she wished she could have had from her parents. And also she just feels like, you know, her parents tend to look at the other siblings or celebrate the other siblings more than they celebrate her. And I just want to tell you one thing, sis, and I've always said this on my channel: nobody's an error of creation. Nobody's here by mistake. Nobody's here just to be here. You're not just here just to take up space. So no matter how toxic your situation is, no matter how, you know, no matter how your situation looks right now, don't ever let anybody make you feel like you're just here just to be here, or like like you don't have a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. It may take you time to figure out what your purpose is, but understand that everybody has a purpose. And that is something that I am so very passionate about. There's nothing that I hate more than when somebody tries to make you feel like you're less human than. No, God didn't make a mistake when he gave you those parents. Neither did he make a mistake when he gave you to them as a child. You know, sometimes there's always that black sheep in the family, you know, the one that they're like, oh, she's not doing anything with her life, she's not going to be anything, she's not going to be that. But guarantee you, and mark my words, it's always that black sheep in the family that ends up being literally the helper in the family, that ends up being something tomorrow. So don't ever let anybody make you feel less than a person, make you feel like you're not worthy, make you feel like you're not valuable. Being a firstborn is tough. I'm here with you. It is tough. It is tough because, like I said, you are now the mom of the house almost. When the mom is not there, you're the mom. And as African parents, they train us to be tough. They train us, you know, to be strong, to be able to withstand whatever comes our way. And you know, it's not their fault. It's how they were raised. It's their generation. And just also understanding generational gaps. How they were raised and how our generation is completely different. We're more of the sensitive generation in the sense that we are vocal about our feelings. We want to express our feelings. We want to tell you like, hey, you know, you didn't tell me I love you as much when I was growing up, but I want you to understand how it made me feel growing up, or how it's affecting my life today. You know, just things like that, you know, we may not necessarily get. They can really truly affect our relationships today. And if you think about your relationships with boyfriends or your friendships, how have your friendships been impacted due to how you were raised as a child? You know, how do you act now when it comes to your relationships? Are you someone that's affectionate? Are you someone that's loving? Are you someone that's open? Or are you more reserved? Are you more guarded because you don't really know what it is to say I love you, because that's not something you grew up hearing? Or you're not really affectionate because you didn't really get that affection, or you're not someone that really trusts people like that because you've had your trust broken. Maybe you've been abused, you know, sexually, emotionally, whatever the case is. Things like that affect us when we grow up into adulthood. And that's why it is so important for me to talk about mental health, because I don't want people to just brush it off. And I feel like with C-19 that's going on right now, you're seeing a whole lot of depression, you're seeing a whole lot of alcoholism, women getting beaten. Like, you're seeing a whole lot of that more because people haven't really dealt with their inner child. Everyone has their inner child, you know. I don't want to say everyone, most people have unresolved issues, you know, from their childhood. You know, sometimes you can be doing something completely random and you would think of a time when you were a child and somebody hurt you, or a situation hurts you. And that brings me to my second point, which is words, the impact of words. I know we as Africans, we're in a culture where anything goes and we kind of say whatever, but sometimes the words that our parents say, those trigger words, can be extremely hurtful. I've always said, somebody can slap me 10 times. I'll forget the fact that you put hands on me. But the words that somebody will speak to me, those words I keep forever. Words really, 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 truly cut deep. And understanding that when a parent calls you foolish or tells you you're useless. I've had friends who have told me that their parents growing up used to call them ashawo, or you're not going to be anything, or you're not going to be this. And you know, at a point when a parent is mad and they're kind of venting and saying whatever, as a child, you're not looking at it as, oh, my mom is mad or my dad is mad and they don't really mean that. As a child, you're looking at it like, wow, that's what my parent thinks of me. And I just want us to understand that we can't change what they have said. We can only change our mentality moving forward. Those words hurt. They cut deep. And I just want to say that to anyone that's a parent right now, if you are someone that tends to be vocal, just be mindful of the words that you project out into the world about your child, about your children, because parents' words carry meaning. They run deep. It's not just, oh, she said hi. No, those are insults. Be mindful of the insults that you project towards your child, because those are insults that as children we grow up keeping in our subconscious mind. There are times where you could be literally just doing something, and next thing you know, maybe you're washing dishes, and next thing you know, you're crying and you don't even know why you're crying. And then all of a sudden you start replaying all the times that your mom insulted you, or all the times that she told you you were good for nothing, or all the times that she made you feel so small. And I don't want to cry. I knew I was gonna see, these mental health topics are gonna have me crying, because when I tell y'all that I am so passionate about just well-being and mental health, like, I know so many people that have been hurt. I know so many people that have been led towards suicide because they feel like they're just not good enough, maybe because of something that a family member said to them. And to me, those are so hurtful. Like, that is so hurtful when the pain itself is coming from somebody that's supposed to love and protect you. You get what I mean? So that's why I get emotional about it, because you know, we all get angry. We all have moments where we say things that we don't necessarily mean. But let's just be mindful of the words that we're putting out there in the universe about our children. Let us be mindful of the words that we're putting out there about the people that we care about the most. Calling a child useless is not just telling them you're useless. You could be speaking into that child's destiny. You could be speaking into that child's future. And no parent wants their child to just, you know, be a liability. No parent wants that. Every parent's prayer, I hope, is for your child to be successful and to be somebody one day. So saying certain things about your child or to your child can be so detrimental. And it is important to understand the root of our pain so that we can heal, so that when we have children tomorrow, we don't repeat the same mistakes that our parents made or the same mistakes that were done to us, so that we can be better. And I just want to tell to the young ladies that have emailed me, that have messaged me, I get you. I understand. I'm with you. You're not alone. I know that certain situations can make you feel like nobody else goes through this, nobody else goes through that. I get you. I get you. Trust me, I do. Okay, but like I said at the beginning, I just want you to understand that you're bigger and you're better than those words. The God that created you, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's not done working in your life. And I'm not just saying that just to fluff you up. I'm not just saying that just to make you feel better about yourself. I'm saying that because it's true and it's what he says in his word. You are the head and not the tail. So don't ever let anybody make you feel less than what you are. It doesn't matter what your parents spoke about you. They're not your God. It doesn't matter what your friends said about you. They're not your God. Where you're going, girl, stay focused on what it is that you're trying to do. Have a plan, have a vision for your life. It is hard to tell you not to think about it. You are going to think about it. There are days that you're going to, be doing random things, like I said, and next thing you know, you're crying. But that's where healing has to take place. That's where the forgiveness has to take place. You just have to tell yourself, I am not any of those things. And something that I had to do was, you guys know about my prayer journal. You know I am somebody that journals. And the reason why I journal is because I'm an introvert. My personality is I carry things within me. I don't really like to share things like that. And I found journaling and YouTube as an outlet. YouTube allows me to express certain pains and certain things and be able to relate to you guys. Journaling helps me relieve those thoughts from my head, and I'm saying, you know what, those thoughts are no longer in my head. You will no longer consume me. I know who I am, I know what I am, and I know where I'm going. So I'm releasing those thoughts onto a piece of paper. I'm gonna scramble it, I'm gonna throw it away, and that's it. And I'm not thinking about it anymore. That works for me. So we have to find ways that we can deal with our stressors. We have to find ways that we can deal with those trigger words. And the reason why it's so important is, like, let's say if you're somebody that grew up, you know, your parents called you all these names, and now you're in a relationship with somebody, and let's say you and your boyfriend get into a fight, and next thing you know, your boyfriend's not calling you useless. That's a trigger word for you. Because why? You grew up as a child with your mom calling you that, and now this person that you're in a relationship with that you also love is calling you that. So now you start to believe it and you start to think it. So do you see how that can be a toxic cycle and how it can affect the relationships that we go into? So that's why how we are raised as children can affect who we end up being as adults. And it's so important that we discuss the childhood trauma that we experience and heal from it, because those are things that stay in our subconscious mind, and until we heal from it, it's going to always be there. Until we say, you know what, I forgive you and I release you from the hurt. I release myself from the hurt. I release myself from the pain that you have caused me. I know you had to learn how to be a parent through me. I get it. I understand. But I no longer want to be held captive to this pain. I want to be better. I don't want to keep thinking about, you know, how you made me feel. I want to have prosperous relationships. I want to have successful friendships. I want to have a successful career. I don't want to be held hostage to this pain anymore. And that's just certain things that we have to tell ourselves. You guys, I know there's so much to talk about. This is only the first episode of Mental Health Wednesday. I could go on and on and on and on about this, but the main focus that I really wanted to tell you guys is that to anyone that has had similar situations, maybe your parents have called you certain names, anyone that has experienced certain types of childhood trauma, the first thing we have to do is forgiveness. Just let's forgive so that we can heal. Forgiving, you're not just forgiving for them, but the forgiveness is for yourself. Forgive so that we can heal. Forgive so that we can be better. Forgive so that we can have successful relationship. Forgive so that we don't repeat those same mistakes to our children. I want this channel to be a movement. I want this channel and this segment to empower you guys and to tell you guys you're not alone. Mental health is real. Your feelings are valid. Your emotions are valid. You're not the only one that goes through certain things. Certain ways and certain triggers can really impact us, like I've said. And I just hope that through this channel and through this segment, as I do more videos, that we're able to create a safe space, because that's what I'm trying to do, is create a safe space where we can talk, where we can be open, where we can release those demons, where we can release those emotions and say we're bigger than this and we're going to overcome it, because we will. And I just love you guys so much. Thank you guys for the email. Comment below some of your experiences. Comment below if this video was helpful to you. Comment below what you learned and what you took out of this video. What are some things that you're going to do to, you know, release some of those negative thoughts and not be held victim to them anymore? Let me know below the type of videos you guys want me to do. If you enjoyed this mental health, let me know. I want to hear it. Thumbs up this video if you like it. Share with somebody that you think could benefit from it. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you on my next video. And remember, you're not an error of creation. You're loved. I love you. God loves you. And I'm here for you. If nothing else, I'm here for you. You're not in this alone. And this too shall pass.